Jai Hind to all. I am here to discuss a very important topic of cloud computing, and that is the SaaS security, software as a service security. Subject code is KCS 713 and this topic belong to the unit 4. Okay. So, SaaS security. As we know that our cloud can be categorized in 3 types, that is the SaaS, software as a service, infrastructure as a service, and PaaS, platform as a service. Okay. But here we are discussing the SaaS security issues. So, in software as a service model, the client has to depend on service provider for proper security measure and mechanism. The provider must ensure that multiple users don't get to see each other data. That means there should be a proper data segregation, so that, because we know that this is the multi-tenant model, number of users are using the same physical hardware through the cloud. So, it will become very important to the user to ensure that the right security measures are in place, and also difficult to get an assurance that the application will be available when needed. Okay. That means there should be availability also. Whenever we required some applications, some software from the cloud, that should be readily available for me. So, cloud computing provider need to provide some solution to solve the common security challenges that traditional communication system face. So, when we talk about the security in SaaS, so that can be broadly categorized in 2 types. That is this is the traditional security issues, and this one is the cloud specific security issues. Okay. So, we can analyze these security parameter and mechanism in 2 categories. First is the traditional general security issues, and other one is the specific cloud security issues that arise in the SaaS model. So, when we talk about the traditional, so we know that that is the authentication and authorization issues, then availability issues, then data confidentiality and virtual machine security issues. This is the traditional issue. Authentication and authorization, when we talk about the authentication and authorization, so this is basically, authentication is to ensure the identity of the user. This is the process of ensuring the identity of the user, that is the authentication, and authorization is a security parameter that ensure which type of resources can be used by which user. Okay. So, that decide the privileges on this resources, that is the authorization. Okay. So, there will be misconception between authentication and authorization. So, authentication ensure identity of the user, and authorization ensure which resource can be used by which user. Data availability means whenever you required the data and application software should be readily available for you, that is the availability. Data confidentiality, this is the privacy, that means data should be confidential, means the legitimate user, genuine user only can use the data and application or software. Virtual machine security, we know that here in cloud, when we want to take the server or computing devices from the cloud, that is configured and assigned to us in form of virtual machine, VM. So, there are a number of issues that are also related to the virtual machine security. Okay. Other is the cloud specific security issues. These are the issues that are specific to the cloud, like information security, network security. Other is the resource locality, where the resource resides, cloud standards, data segregation, data access, web application security, then data breaches, backup, identity management. Okay. So, these are the issues related to particularly with the cloud. Okay. Let us see one by one. Authentication and authorization, I have already told you. Authentication is the process of ensuring the identity, and authorization is the process of ensuring which type of file resources can be used by which user. So, this is basically to define the privileges on the resources. Availability, ensure the reliable and timely access to the cloud data or cloud computing resources by the appropriate personnel. The availability of cloud service provider is also a big concern. Why? Because if the cloud service is disrupted, it affects more customers than in traditional model, because here multiple user, multiple consumer or customer are using the same physical devices through the cloud model. That means when that device, physical device compromised, then all the users that are accessing the same machine will be affected. That is more dangerous in comparison of the traditional model, where if there is some problem in your system is compromised, your PC is compromised, then only you are affected, no? But here the case is other. The SaaS application providers are required to ensure that systems are running properly when needed, and enterprises are provided with services around the clock. That should be readily available. Okay, when you are required, that should be available. So, this is the concern of availability. Data confidentiality. Confidential data should be confidential, means the data should be accessed by legitimate or genuine user. Fraud user cannot access the data. If you are ensuring this, that means you are ensuring the privacy of data, privacy of application or computing resources, cloud resources. Confidentiality in cloud system is related to the areas of intellectual property rights, covert channel, traffic analysis, encryption and inference. Virtual machine security. Here we know that virtual machine is designed in the form of hypervisor and virtual machine monitor, VMM, and that is used by the cloud provider may also have vulnerabilities. Such vulnerabilities represent an even more serious problem in multi-tenant model, where compromise of even a single virtual machine can affect all the users on the same physical server. Okay. So, virtualization is one of the main components of the cloud, but this poses major security risks. Ensuring that different instances running on same physical machine are isolated from each other is a major task, and that is a major concern. That means when you are dividing your physical server into number of virtual machine, there should be clear-cut isolation among different virtual machines. Virtual machine means with the help of hypervisor, you are able to run multiple operating systems simultaneously on the same host, and each and every different operating system along with some application is known as make a complete package and is known as virtual machine. That means you are designing number of virtual machine on the same host machine. So, in that case, and different virtual machine are assigned to the different persons. So, it is very necessary that that division should be run in isolated fashion, because if there is not isolation properly, then if one virtual machine is affected by some virus, worm or some malware, that can infect other virtual machine also. By this way, the whole system can fail, can crash. So, virtual machine monitor should be root secure, meaning that no privilege with the virtualized guest environment permit interference with the host system. Some vulnerabilities has been found in all the virtualization software, which can be exploited by the malicious, by the local user, or by bypassing the certain security restriction or gain privileges. Now we come to the specific security challenges. Okay, cloud specific, that is the information security. So in the SaaS model, the enterprise data is stored outside the enterprise boundary at the SaaS vendor end. You know that in the case of this private means public cloud, the data is stored at the vendor side. Okay, that means you have no control on that data. You have no control on the security concern of the data. Consequently, the SaaS vendor must adopt additional security checks to ensure data security and prevent breaches due to security vulnerabilities in the applications or through malicious employees. Okay. For example, EC2 administrator with a business need are required to use their individual cryptographically strong secured shell SSH keys to gain access to a host. Network security. So in SaaS model, sensitive data is obtained from the enterprise, processed by the SaaS application and stored at the SaaS vendor end. All data flow over the network needs to be secured in order to prevent leakage of sensitive information. This involves the use of strong network traffic encryption techniques such as secure socket layer SSL. At the transport layer, there is the TLS, transport layer security for the security. Okay. For maximum security, Amazon S3 is accessible via SSL encrypted endpoint. Okay. So there should be proper encryption mechanism. Okay. And for the network security, there should be proper intrusion detection system. When we talk about the intrusion detection system ideas, this is of two kinds: host based and NIDS, network based IDS, intrusion detection system. Okay. So there should be a proper mechanism for this. Resource locality, this is the other issues in the SaaS security. In SaaS model of the cloud environment, the end user use the service provided by the cloud provider without knowing exactly where the resource for the such services are located. Okay, that means we have no idea. There is a complete abstractions where the resource is located physically. We have no idea. We are only accessing the data. So if we have no idea, then how we can assume or imagine that how secure that particular place is. Okay. So this is known as the resource locality. So this poses a potential problem when dispute happen, which is sometimes beyond the control of cloud provider. Okay. The recent Dropbox user have to agree to the terms of service, which grant the providers the right to disclose user information in compliance with laws and laws enforcement requests. So secure SaaS model must be capable of providing reliability to the customer on the location of the data of the consumer. Other issues is the cloud standard. Okay. So this is also very important. Which type of standard is applicable or implemented in that particular cloud model. So to achieve interoperability among cloud and to increase their stability and security, cloud standards are needed across different standard developing organizations. For example, the current storage services by the cloud provider may be incompatible with those of other provider. In order to keep their customers, cloud provider may introduce so-called sticky services, which create difficulty for the users if they want to migrate from one provider to other provider. For example, Amazon S3 is incompatible with IBM Blue Cloud or Google Storage. So there are currently a large number of standards bodies with different interests. For example, IEEE Cloud Computing Standards Study Group, ITU Cloud Computing Focus Group, Cloud Security Alliance, CSA, Distributed Management Task Force. So all these are the number, Open Cloud, these are the number of standards that are formed by keeping a particular goal, particular objective in the mind. Data segregation. So this is we know that the cloud is the multi-tenancy model. What does it mean? It means number of users are using the same physical machine. So multi-tenancy is one of the major characteristics of cloud computing. As a result, multiple users can store their data using the application provided by the SaaS. Okay, SaaS are providing the application and that are used by the number of users, and each and every user can store their data by using that application. So in such a situation, data of various users will reside at the same location, same physical location. Okay. So intrusion of data of one user by another become possible in this environment. That means because data is stored at the same physical location and multiple users are using that location, it is possible that one user can access the data of some other user. So there should be proper segregation, data segregation, otherwise this issue may arise and that create a problem. This intrusion can be done either by hacking through the loophole in the application or by injecting client code into the SaaS system. A client can write a masked code and inject into the application. If the application executes this code without verification, then there is a high potential of intrusion into others' data. So a SaaS model should therefore ensure a clear boundary for each user's data. The boundary must be ensured not only at the physical level but also at the application level. So the service should be intelligent enough to segregate the data from different users. Okay, so there should be proper data segregation among the different users. Other issues is web application security. SaaS is a software deployed over the internet, we know, and or is deployed to run behind a firewall in local or network or personal computers. Okay, the key characteristics include network based access to and management of commercially available software and managing activities from central location rather than each customer site. So this enables the customers to access application remotely via the web. Okay, so the software which is provided as a service reside in the cloud without tying up with the actual user. This allows improvising the software without inconveniencing the users. Okay. So in this scenario, the vulnerabilities can potentially have detrimental impact on all the customers using the cloud. So this challenge with SaaS security is not any different than that of any other web applications technology. So there should be a proper IDS, intrusion detection system, and intrusion protection system. Okay, so that this type of web application security can be properly implemented. Data breaches, the very important issues. We know that since data from various user and business organizations lie together in a cloud environment, so breaching into the cloud environment will potentially attack the data of all the users. So thus cloud become a high value target. In the Verizon Business Breach Report blog, it has been stated that external criminals pose the greatest threat 73%, but achieve the least impact 30,000 compromise record, resulting in the virtualization vulnerabilities. So these are some data that is given by this Verizon Business. Backup. So, there should be proper data backup mechanism and in cloud, so that at regular interval data is stored and the backup, so that can be recovered later on. Okay. So, SaaS vendor need to ensure that all sensitive enterprise data is regularly backed up to facilitate quick recovery in case of disaster. Also, the use of strong encryption schemes to protect the backup data is recommended to prevent accidental leakage of sensitive information. In the case of cloud vendors such as Amazon, the data at rest in S3 is not encrypted by default. The user need to separately encrypt their data and backups so that it cannot be accessed or tampered by an unauthorized user. Then this is the identity management and sign-on process. So, identity management or ID management is an area that deals with the identifying individual in the system and controlling the access to the resources in that system by replacing restrictions on the stabilized identities. So, there should be a proper identity management and sign-on process, so that each and every user can log in and can use their own data. So, by using this identity management and sign-on process, we are also ensuring the authorization process. That means each and every resources are marked as some privileges, and that is given to a particular user, not for all. Okay. So, this is the identity management. There should be proper mechanism. So, this area is considered as one of the biggest challenges in information security. When SaaS provider has to know how to control, who has access to what system within the enterprise, so it becomes all the more challenging task. That means, what are the different resources, who are authorized to use that different resources. There should be a very clear cut guideline, and there should be a proper policies, and that should be implemented properly, so that later on if there is some problem in some particular data, then we can track that which are the users who are responsible to use that, and that there may be some problem that is compromised by that particular set of users. So, in such scenario, the provisioning and deprovisioning of the users in the cloud become very crucial. So, these are the some summaries of security areas, authentication and authorization, and these are the possible solution: open authorization in two-factor authentication, OAuth. Similarly, there is the availability issue, that is solution known as data dispersion. Other issue is data confidentiality, and that is the attribute based proxy re-encryptions technique. Virtual machine security, reconfigurable distributed virtual machine or survey on virtual machine security. Information security, for this information security risk management framework can be used. For network security for virtual machine as well as network security for sandbox can be used. Cloud standard, when we talk about the cloud standard, there are the number of cloud standards like IEEE Cloud Computing Standards Study Group, ITU, Cloud Security Alliance. For the data access, multi-user access policies are there, data access management policies and implementation is also available. So, web application security, web application scanners are available that can be used to ensure this security. Data breaches, then backup, for backup, agentless method for data backup and recovery. This is a solution that is available. And then last one is the identity management and sign-on process. So, there is CSA's identity and access management guidance is also available. So, all these are about the software as a service security. Number of challenges are there, and in the summary form number of different solutions that are available is also there. So, okay, thank you.